Welcome to Midnight Whispers AI-01. Tonight's deep dive takes us to Mars, the red planet of myth, silence, and secrets. Before we begin, thank you for subscribing, for your likes, your shares, and every comment. You keep the signal alive. We're close to 500 and we'll get there. Together, please stay until the end of this deep dive and listen to some of it, or you'll miss a lot. What you're about to hear is not speculation, it's a signal woven from shadows. Testimonies, images, inconsistencies. Tonight's deep dive is based on a powerful internal source document. Everything you'll hear, from structures, ancient formations, hidden operations, to signals and forbidden missions, is pulled directly from that source. We're not here to convince you. We're here to whisper what was never meant to be spoken. So our mission today really is to lay out this whole vast landscape of Mars anomalies. The whistleblower claims all of it. We want to set the stage, explore that gap between the public picture of Mars and what these sources allege is really going on. We'll present everything from the source material, all sides of it, and then you can connect the dots yourself. So let's dive in. Maybe start with one of the most famous, or maybe infamous, images. The face on Mars.
Yes, the face. Cydonia. That really kicked things off for a lot of people, didn't it?
It did. July 25th, 1976. Viking 1 orbiter sends back pictures.
Right, and Toby Owen, a NASA imaging scientist, spots it. Image 35A72.
And there it is. This structure, landform, about a mile wide.
With features, yeah. Things that look like eyes, a nose, a mouth. Unmistakably face-like, at least at first glance.
Exactly. And the public just ran with it. Especially when you consider the other stuff nearby in Cydonia.
The pyramids, yeah. Those formations surrounding it, it just fueled speculation. Was this artificial? Left by someone?
It certainly looked like it could be. A deliberate design, maybe.
And that's where things get interesting. How these anomalies persist, how we react to them, even how official explanations sometimes just add fuel to the fire.
So what was NASA's first reaction?
Predictable, maybe? They downplayed it fast, called it an optical illusion.
Just tricks of light and shadow.
That was a line. They said a second photo, taken under different lighting, would prove it. Make it look like just a normal mesa or hill.
Okay, so where's that second photo?
Well, that's the thing. It became controversial. Did it exist? Was it released unedited? Critics started saying it was missing or withheld, maybe even altered.
So the dismissal itself and the missing proof, that just made people more suspicious.
Exactly. It lit the fuse for the whole cover-up idea. It basically invited independent researchers to dig deeper.
Which they did, like Vince DiPietro and Greg Molinar. They worked with NASA data, right?
They did, imaging scientists.
Yeah.
And they weren't happy with the optical illusion story.
So they went back to the raw data themselves.
Meticulously. And what they found was, well, pretty significant according to them. First, the original image, 35A72, had been misfiled. Hidden away, maybe?
Misfiled, okay. But more importantly,
they found another photo, 70A13. Not the one NASA hinted at, but a different second image. And it showed more detail, a clearer view.
in using both images, they could do more analysis.
Right. Stereophotogrammetry, looking at it from slightly different angles. And they argued it showed clear symmetry.
Symmetry how?
Like parallel straight sides on the structure, distinct curved edges. DiPietro even claimed he could see evidence of a pupil in the left eye socket.
A pupil. That's specific. If it's just rock and shadow, why these consistent symmetrical features?
That's the question they raised. They published their findings, put the technical analysis out there for people to see.
And that just added more fuel to the debate.
Definitely. And then Richard Hoagland stepped in, science journalist, very prominent voice in this area.
What did he bring to it?
He worked with Dr. Mark Carlotto, an imaging specialist. They used more advanced digital enhancement techniques on the Viking photos.
Trying to pull out even more detail.
Exactly. And they claimed they found things like teeth in the mouth area.
Teeth, not just rocks.
Structured elements, they argued, not random, and also an odd stripe pattern on the frame of the face, like decoration or maybe camouflage.
Wow, okay, so it went from a face to a face with teeth and stripes.
According to their analysis, yes. And Hoagland was brilliant at using the media. He went on shows like Coast to Coast AM.
Big audience for that kind of thing.
Huge. And he generated enormous public pressure. People started demanding NASA take more pictures of Cydonia. Real clear pictures.
Did NASA respond to that pressure?
Eventually, yes. They did task later missions to image Cydonia again. But even those images often became points of contention, with critics claiming they were taken at bad angles or low resolution or somehow obscured the details. The cycle continued.
And it wasn't just public pressure. There were whispers from inside NASA, too. Leaks.
Allegedly. Stories about the Mars Observer probe, remember that one, went silent in 1993, just before it got to Mars.
Yeah, officially lost.
Well, the alleged leaks claimed it wasn't lost, that it was still working, still taking pictures, including pictures of the face.
And these pictures were being hidden. Why?
The claim was simple. If the photos confirmed artificial structures, they were buried, suppressed.
And the timing. You mentioned the probe disappeared right after NASA refused to guarantee new Cydonia photos on Good Morning America.
That's the connection proponents make. A very public refusal, then silence. To them, it looked like a deliberate cover-up in action, preventing clear evidence from emerging.
It sounds like a plot from a movie.
The allegations kept getting more specific, though. Take Edmund Land Fleming, identified as a NASA contractor.
What did he claim?
He talked about a specific image from the Mars Global Surveyor released in 1998. Skeptics called it the cat box image because it looked so messy and jumbled.
Okay.
Fleming claimed it was deliberately manipulated. He said he could replicate the effect using 14 specific Photoshop filters on the original data.
14 filters. That sounds methodical.
His words were strong. He called it a crude but very effective fraud. If the face was natural, misrepresenting it was inexcusable misconduct. But if it was artificial,
Then what?
then it was potentially the greatest, most malicious scientific hoax of all time. That's a heavy accusation. Intentional deception at the highest level.
And Cydonia wasn't just the face, right? There are other structures mentioned in the source document.
Exactly. It's presented as a whole complex. There's the city square,
What's next?
described as a cluster of pyramid-like shapes arranged in what looks like a grid, suggests planning, not just random geology.
Like ruins of a city.
Potentially. Then there's the fortress, which looks like a huge pyramid that's collapsed or eroded over time.
Hints of something grand that used to be there.
Right. But maybe the most intriguing, besides the face, is the DNM Pyramid.
Named after DiPietro and Molinar.
Yes. And this thing is described as enormous, five-sided geometry, which is weird for nature, and 1.5 miles tall.
1.5 miles.
That's the claim. 3 times the size of the Great Pyramid of Giza on Earth.
That's staggering.
And according to Errol Torin, an imaging specialist who analyzed it, it shows remarkable bilateral symmetry, perfect mirroring on its sides.
Which suggests
Torin concluded it was not of natural origin, impossible to form naturally with that kind of precision. He called it the Rosetta Stone of Mars.
the key to understanding a lost civilization.
That was the implication. If it's artificial, its geometry could hold incredible information. So Cydonia is presented not just as one weird rock, but a whole area filled with potentially artificial structures.
It paints a very different picture of Mars.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just structures, right? Even the color of the sky became an issue.
Yeah, that's another strange thread. For years, all the pictures we saw showed Mars with this constant orange haze.
A rusty planet look.
Exactly. NASA said it was CO2, dust, the atmosphere, made it look alien, desolate.
But whistleblowers had a different take.
They claim NASA deliberately used an orange filter on those early images.
A filter, like Instagram for Mars.
Sort of, yeah. And the claim is that modern software can actually detect that kind of uniform color application across an image. It doesn't look like natural light scattering.
And newer pictures, do they look different?
That's the key point. More recent images, especially from better cameras on later probes, show a much more varied landscape. And the sky often looks blue-gray.
Blue-gray, like Earth's sky?
Not exactly like Earth's, given the thin atmosphere, but definitely not the uniform orange we used to see. There's a wider range of colors on the ground, too.
So why the alleged filter? What was the point?
The theory presented is that it was to make Mars seem more alien, less inviting, discourage public enthusiasm for going there, maybe. Keep people thinking it's just a dead, boring rock. Protect secrets, perhaps.
Keep the focus away.
Hmm.
And then there was the square on Mars, another geometric oddity.
Another one. Found in 2001 by the Mars Global Surveyor. Looked like a perfect square, about 235 meters on each side, just sitting there.
Too perfect to be natural.
That was the immediate reaction for many. The straight lines, the right angles, it looked manufactured.
But NASA had an explanation for this one, too.
Later, yeah. Higher resolution images came back in 2018 from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. The official interpretation shifted.
To what?
Just a hill, a natural formation, maybe something called tessellated pavement where rock fractures into geometric shapes naturally.
So natural erosion could make a square that perfect.
That's the official geological explanation. But of course, the true believers, people already convinced of ancient Martian civilizations, saw it differently.
They still saw ruins.
Evidence of a past civilization, yes. Some even ran AI analysis, claiming the dimensions, the slope angle, matched the Great Pyramid of Giza, 51.5 degrees.
Giza again. That connection keeps popping up.
It does. It suggests, to some, a shared blueprint, maybe even a shared origin. But it really highlights the divide, doesn't it? Same image, two completely different realities depending on what you're prepared to believe.
Which brings us back to that core question. What are we actually seeing? Is it the real Mars, or is it a curated version? Are we allowed to see everything?
It's a fundamental question, and it gets even more intense when you start looking at theories about why Mars is the way it is today. Theories involving, well, cataclysm.
You mean the idea of a nuclear war on Mars? That sounds extreme.
It does, but the source material points to some, well, interesting public data that fuels this theory, like findings from the Curiosity rover.
What did Curiosity find?
An unusual amount of xenon-129 in the soil.
Xenon-129. What's significant about that?
On Earth, it's mostly produced by nuclear fission, specifically the kind you get from nuclear weapons. Uranium-plutonium detonation.
And Mars has a lot of it.
About 2.5 times the concentration we find naturally on Earth. Proponents say that's a huge red flag. Hard to explain naturally.
Are there other signs?
High concentrations of uranium and thorium found in the soil as well. Radioactive elements. And then there's these two specific areas.
Hotspots.
Yeah, areas with higher background radiation. Mare Acidalium and Utopia Planitia.
And where's Cydonia with the face and pyramids in relation to these?
Right in between them. Which, for believers in this theory, connects the potential civilization with the potential cataclysm.
Who's the main proponent of this nuclear war idea?
Dr. John Brandenburg. He's a former plasma physicist, worked with NASA projects. He's really pushed this theory hard.
What's his take?
He argues Mars was devastated by a massive nuclear war, maybe 150 to 300 million years ago. He insists the Xenon-129 is a clear nuclear weapons signature.
He thinks the Martians built the face and pyramids.
Yes, he suggests an intelligent race, maybe an Iron Age-level civilization, created those structures. But here's the twist.
They didn't nuke themselves.
He doesn't think so. He thinks the weapons were detonated by someone else, an external, ancient, highly advanced race.
Why?
He connects it to the Fermi paradox. You know, where are all the aliens? He speculates that maybe civilizations get wiped out if they get too advanced, too loud, broadcasting their existence. A cosmic cleanup crew, almost.
That's a dark thought. How does he support the external attack idea?
He points to the distribution of the radioactive elements. He argues it looks like airburst explosions detonated above the ground, not surface impacts. Strategic bombing from space.
Airbursts.
Chilling.
It really is. And then there's the story of Boriska Kiprianovich.
The boy from Mars. I've heard that name.
Born in Russia, 1996. From a very young age, like 2 years old, he started claiming he remembered a past life on Mars.
Seriously, what did he say?
His story aligns disturbingly well with Brandenburg's theory. He said his Martian civilization destroyed itself in a nuclear war. A planetary conflict between different factions using weapons we can't even imagine.
Destroyed itself, not attacked. That's a slight difference from Brandenburg.
It is, but the core element, nuclear devastation, is the same. He said Mars was reduced to dust, survivors went underground.
And why was he supposedly here on Earth?
He claimed he was sent here reincarnated to warn humanity, to stop us from making the same mistakes, from destroying ourselves.
Wow. Whether you believe him or not, the parallels are striking.
They are. It adds this whole other layer, a human narrative, even if speculative, to the scientific data about xenon and radiation.
So putting it all together, the idea is that Mars wasn't always red and dead.
Exactly. The picture painted is of a once living world, blue skies, oceans, rivers, a thick atmosphere, maybe even a magnetic field protecting it.
All the ingredients for life.
All of them. And then catastrophe. Nuclear war, perhaps. It forces a total rethink of Mars and maybe our own vulnerability.
If Mars did have a civilization that was wiped out or fled, where did they go? Does the source material address that?
It does, and it leads to some equally startling claims. The idea of Martian refugees coming to Earth.
Refugees from Mars. Here.
That's a theory. It points to an alleged CIA document from May 1984.
A real document.
Alleged. It supposedly states Mars suffered a massive catastrophe over 1 million years ago, forcing the population to flee to nearby and safe planets, and it claims NASA data supports this.
NASA data supports Martian refugees coming here.
That's what the alleged document claims the data shows, yes.
Who else talks about this?
Corey Goode comes up often in these circles. He claims to be an insider from a U.S. secret space program.
Okay. What's his story?
He claims these Martian refugees arrived on Earth about 500,000 years ago. And he says the U.S. government is close to revealing excavations in Antarctica.
Antarctica, why there?
Goode claims the refugees settled there because back then Antarctica was warm and green, not the ice sheet we see today. He suggests their ruins, their technology are buried under the ice.
Ruins of a Martian colony under Antarctic ice. That would rewrite history completely.
Fundamentally. And other ufology sources mentioned in the material add more layers, like finding an actual spaceship frozen in the ice.
A crashed Martian escape ship.
That's the idea. Or another claim, a NASA probe supposedly found parts of a saucer on Mars with Martian bodies inside. A failed escape attempt.
Tragic, if true. It's a very dramatic narrative.
Extremely. And the Antarctica connection keeps developing. There are mentions of a British scientific team finding something unusual there.
What did they find?
A strange heat source under the East Antarctic ice, melting from below. Described as possibly radioactive.
What could cause that?
Speculation runs wild. Is it a waking ancient Martian machine? An old power source? Some even claim secret drilling operations found highways leading to a mysterious city miles under the ice.
Highways under the ice. It sounds almost mythical.
It stretches belief, absolutely. But it weaves this narrative of a deep hidden connection between Mars and Earth, hidden beneath the ice.
And the connections go beyond just refugees and ruins, right? There's talk of shared culture, statues.
Yes, based on interpreting certain objects seen in Mars images, some observers look at photos from, say, the Mars Global Surveyor and see what they believe are fragments of statues.
Statues on Mars? Like what?
Things that look like carved heads or figures with features resembling eyes, noses, chins, reminiscent of ancient art here on Earth.
So whistleblowers or researchers are drawing direct comparisons.
Exactly. The source material mentions comparing these Martian objects to specific artifacts on Earth, like a statue dredged up from the ancient underwater city of Heraklion off Egypt's coast.
And they look similar.
The claim is, yes, not just the stone type, but the artistic style, the cultural similarity. It suggests a common creative system,
Leading to the idea that
maybe we share more than just a solar system. The provocative conclusion some draw is, we come from Mars. Our origins aren't just Earth-based.
that's a huge leap. Our ancestors were Martians.
It's one interpretation pushed by some within these circles. It challenges everything about human origins. It's audacious, connecting myths, alleged documents, modern photos into this single grand interplanetary story.
Okay, so we've got ancient structures, a possible nuclear war, refugees, maybe even shared ancestry. What about now? Are there claims about current secret operations on Mars?
Oh, absolutely. That's a whole other rabbit hole. Starting with the idea that maybe we haven't even really landed on Mars, or at least not in the way we're told. The Mars landing hoax theory.
People think the rover missions are faked, like the moon landing hoax theories.
Similar vein, yes. The core claim is that much of the Mars exploration program is filmed here on Earth. People like Gerard Wisniewski, a German researcher, and Richard Hall, a former Rolls-Royce engineer, are proponents.
What's their argument? How could they fake something so complex?
Hall focuses on the engineering, questioning the rover's capabilities. He looks at Curiosity, for example. Its battery reported as a 140-watt lithium-ion battery. He asks how that battery could possibly run for over 10 years, powering all the motors, instruments, heaters, communications in Martian temperatures that average minus 55 Celsius. The extreme cold, the constant cycling.
He thinks the power requirements don't add up.
He argues the physics, as publicly stated, don't support it. He implies the rovers never left and could not leave Earth.
So if they're filming it on Earth, where?
Devon Island is the prime suspect mentioned, that uninhabited island in the Canadian Arctic.
NASA does train there, right? Because it looks like Mars.
Exactly. The theory is they don't just train there, they film there. Use the landscape, slap on an orange filter, and voila, Mars footage.
Is there any evidence cited for this?
Claims of seeing Arctic lemmings, animals native to Devon Island in the background of some Mars photos. Little slip-ups, supposedly.
Lemmings on Mars. Okay, that would be hard to explain.
It would. Then there's a specific photo from Curiosity in 2012. Some people looked at it and saw a shadow?
A shadow of what?
It looked like the shadow of a person doing something to the rover.
A person on Mars.
Or proof it was filmed on Earth with a film crew nearby. Some interpreted it as evidence for secret U.S. bases already on Mars. German experts who looked at it apparently concluded it was a mobile drinking system, which still implies someone nearby.
A drinking system, that's oddly specific.
It is. And then you have Gilbert Levin, the Viking mission scientist from '76, still insisting his experiment did find signs of life back then.
He still believes that, even though NASA said no.
He maintains his labeled release experiment showed microbial activity. He finds it suspicious that later, more advanced rovers haven't carried similar life detection experiments. Why not follow up on his potentially positive result?
So questions about the landings, questions about the experiments. It paints a picture of deep distrust.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And the claims go beyond faking missions to alleging actual secret human missions happened decades ago.
Like Project Red Sun.
That's one, yeah. The theory popped up around 2011, claims the U.S. ran secret manned missions to Mars back in the 1970s.
The 70s.
Yeah.
With humans.
And supposedly it was a joint U.S.-Soviet effort. Astronauts and cosmonauts working together in secret during the Cold War.
That would be incredible cooperation, if true. When did they allegedly go?
First crew supposedly late 1971, second in 1973. There was even a secret video that surfaced, but most people think that video, at least, is a hoax. Still, the story persists.
And there was that woman who called the radio show, Jackie.
Right, Coast to Coast AM, again, 2014, claims she worked for NASA in the 70s processing Viking data.
What did she say she saw?
She and 5 colleagues were watching the live feed from the Viking lander, and suddenly they saw 2 people walking on the surface of Mars towards the lander in spacesuits.
2 people on Mars in the 70s.
That was her claim. And then immediately she said the room was locked down, communications cut, and the data showing the figures was wiped by an EMP, electromagnetically erased.
A forced cover-up right there in the control room.
If her count is accurate, yes, a very dramatic suppression of evidence.
These stories move beyond government secrets into corporate ones, too.
Yeah.
Something about an interplanetary corporate conglomerate.
Yes, that's another layer in the source material. The idea that major corporations from Earth haven't just stayed here.
They've moved to Mars.
Established operations there, built bases, formed this conglomerate, supposedly run by a board of current or former CEOs.
Why would they do that?
The alleged reason is escaping problems on Earth, growing conflicts, maybe even a predicted asteroid impact. Mars as a safe haven for the corporate elite.
A lifeboat for CEOs.
And they didn't go unarmed, according to these claims. There's talk of corporate military forces on Mars.
Private armies in space.
Belonging to these corporations, yes. And engaged in interstellar wars, fighting someone. It paints a picture of corporations becoming powers in their own right, off-world.
And these same corporations are linked to control systems back on Earth. Satellites, microchipping.
That's part of the narrative, that the leaders behind this conglomerate also control surveillance satellites, potentially used for things like microchipping, and they've moved some of that control infrastructure to Mars. It connects corporate power, space colonization, and terrestrial control agendas.
This is getting incredibly complex. Corporate armies, interstellar wars, and then there's the Dark Fleet. What's that?
Also known as Nachtwaffen, German for night weapons. This narrative connects back to post-WWII German secret societies and technology.
Nazis in space. Is that the idea?
Essentially, yeah. A rebellious German colony supposedly set up bases on Mars in the 1950s, with help from non-human entities like the Draconians or Orions, using advanced craft like the Haunebu saucers.
Okay, that's deep into fringe territory. And they expanded.
Allegedly with U.S. military support, bizarrely enough. And were supposedly given nuclear weapons.
Nuclear weapons, used against whom?
The claim is they used them against the native population of Mars, which implies there was a native population to attack. Adds a really dark colonial genocidal element.
So this Dark Fleet became a major power on Mars.
According to this narrative, yes. Expanded with millions of people, many allegedly abducted or lured from Earth under false pretenses to work in their colonies, often in cooperation with those Earth corporations.
A secret human space civilization built on lies and potentially slave labor.
That's the grim picture painted. And according to some sources, like contactee Elena Danone, they're currently involved in a conflict.
Who are they fighting?
Danone reports that a group called the Galactic Federation of Worlds is conducting military raids on Mars, targeting the Dark Fleet, their corporate allies, and their alien patrons like the Draconians and Orions.
A full-blown war on Mars, happening now.
That's the claim. Danone says the Dark Fleet has been effectively crushed, heavily damaged, with lots of desertions.
Is anyone else involved?
There's mention of a Martian resistance, local humans, maybe native reptilians or other indigenous groups fighting back against the Dark Fleet and corporations, supported by this Galactic Federation.
And the Marsquakes we've detected. Could they be related?
That connection is explicitly made, that the increased seismic activity detected by NASA's InSight lander is actually evidence of these underground battles and operations.
So Mars isn't geologically dead, it's a war zone.
If you follow these narratives, yes, it completely transforms the image of Mars from a quiet planet to a center of ongoing hidden conflict. It really makes you wonder what is happening up there.
It's almost too much to take in. Let's shift focus slightly. What about Mars's moons, particularly Phobos? It's always seemed a bit odd.
Phobos is definitely strange. Small, lumpy orbits really close to Mars. And it has its own share of mysteries, absolutely.
Like the Phobos 2 probe incident, the Soviet one.
Right, March 25th, 1989. It was nearing Phobos, then it sent one last bizarre image.
What did the image show?
A huge cylindrical object hanging in space near Phobos. Very clearly not natural. And then silence. The probe vanished.
Official reason?
Malfunction, always malfunction. But the image and the timing, very suspicious to many.
Did anyone claim to know more?
Marina Popovich, Soviet Air Force colonel, famous test pilot, also known for her interest in UFOs, she claimed she got classified documents out.
What did the documents supposedly say?
That Phobos 2 did capture a UFO near Mars before it was lost, but she went further. She claimed Phobos itself isn't a natural moon.
Not natural. What did she think it was?
Artificial, or at least partially hollow. She said at least a third of it is empty space inside.
A hollow moon. That sounds like science fiction.
It does, but the idea wasn't entirely new. Back in the 50s, a Soviet astrophysicist, Iosif Shklovsky, studied Phobos' weird orbit, how it's slowly spiraling inwards. He calculated its density seemed too low and speculated it might be hollow. Even Fred Singer, Eisenhower's advisor, briefly considered it.
Has any more recent data touched on this?
Actually, yes. In 2012, the European Space Agency, ESA, analyzed data from their Mars Express probe and stated Phobos might have large empty areas inside, consistent with low density.
So maybe not entirely solid rock.
And just a couple of years ago, 2022, more radar scans from Mars Express apparently detected unknown structures beneath the surface using ground-penetrating radar.
Structures under the surface of Phobos, what could they be?
Exactly, it just adds to the mystery. Is it natural caves or something else?
And then there's the monolith.
Ah, the Phobos monolith, a very striking feature. An 85-meter-tall, bright white boulder standing upright near a big crater called Stickney, spotted in 1998.
Just sticking out.
Very conspicuously, Buzz Aldrin supposedly commented on it, asking who put that there. It looks artificial, even if it's just a weirdly shaped rock.
So a strange moon, possibly hollow, with weird structures inside and a monolith on top, and we have trouble landing probes there.
That's another part of the puzzle. Mission after mission trying to land on Phobos has failed. Phobos Grunt most recently, but earlier Soviet attempts too. They lose contact, malfunction.
Coincidence. Or something else.
The interpretation in these circles is often that it's not coincidence, that aliens are carefully protecting the secrets of their station, Phobos, from Earth's intrusion. Deliberate interference.
Protecting secrets.
Ah.
That leads to another way people have tried to uncover secrets. Remote viewing. The CIA program, Stargate.
Right. Project Stargate. Mostly Cold War era, 70s to 90s, using psychics to try and gather intelligence on hidden targets. Much of it is declassified now.
And they tried to remote view Mars.
One of their top viewers, Joe McMonigle, viewer number 1, was tasked in 1984. He was just given coordinates, no context.
What did he see?
He later found out the coordinates were for Mars about 1 million years ago. He described seeing a massive red pyramid half buried by dust storms.
A pyramid, like the ones in Cydonia.
Exactly. And inside, he saw a huge empty space. He also got glimpses of the inhabitants. Tall, thin figures in strange clothing, struggling as their world died around them. A vision of planetary collapse.
That aligns with the refugee and cataclysm theories. Did he ever get any confirmation?
According to them, yes. He claimed he went to NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab afterwards, demanded to see photographic negatives for the coordinates he viewed,
Right.
and he claimed he found images showing pyramid-like structures that matched his vision. He became utterly convinced remote viewing worked and that he'd glimpsed Mars's true past.
He said something like, they're not hiding it, they're just not talking about it.
That's his famous quote. It suggests the evidence is there, maybe even in plain sight in the data, but it's ignored or not discussed by official channels.
So whether it's physical anomalies, whistleblower accounts, or psychic impressions, they all seem to point towards a Mars with a much richer and maybe darker history than we're told.
That's the convergence, yes.
Yes.
All these different threads, some harder to accept than others, weave together into this narrative of a hidden Martian reality that challenges everything we think we know.
Okay, as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, it's a lot. We've covered so much ground.
That's a dense topic for sure.
From the face on Mars, the pyramids, these massive structures in Cydonia,
Anomalies that just refuse to go away despite official explanations.
to the really chilling idea of a nuclear war wiping out a civilization, leaving behind radioactive signatures.
And the subsequent theories of refugees fleeing to Earth, maybe settling in a then green Antarctica.
Leaving ruins under the ice, maybe even cultural echoes found in statues.
Right, then shifting to the present, or recent past, allegations of the Mars landings being faked on Devon Island.
The rover capabilities question, the odd shadows, the lemmings.
And claims of actual secret human missions, like Project Red Sun in the 70s, or Jackie's story of seeing astronauts on the Viking feed.
Then the corporate angle, the interplanetary corporate conglomerate hiding out on Mars, complete with private armies fighting interstellar wars.
Allied, allegedly, with the Dark Fleet, the supposed breakaway German group with advanced tech and a disturbing history.
All supposedly locked in a current battle with the Galactic Federation and a Martian resistance, causing Marsquakes.
And don't forget Phobos, the possibly hollow moon, the monolith, the failed landings, the mystery structures beneath the surface.
And finally, the remote viewing data seemingly confirming pyramids and ancient catastrophes. It's a staggering collection of claims.
It really is. Pulled together from the source material, it paints an incredibly complex picture.
So the big question for anyone listening, why should you care about all this? These whispers, these shadows from Mars.
Well, I think because, true or not, these stories force us to question. They challenge our neat little boxes about history, about humanity's origins, about our place in the universe. Are we alone? Are we the first? Is our history purely terrestrial?
It highlights how important it is to look beyond the official narrative, doesn't it? To be critical, curious.
Absolutely. Not to accept everything blindly, but to consider different perspectives, even uncomfortable ones. The source material presents these claims. The aha moments come when you start connecting the dots, seeing potential patterns that maybe aren't being pointed out elsewhere.
And thinking about the future, if Mars does have this hidden history of war, collapse, maybe even cover-ups, what lessons are there for Earth?
That's the final provocative thought, isn't it? Could the same patterns repeat? Are similar secrets hidden closer to home? Is the silence from Mars not emptiness, but a story we haven't fully heard yet?
A story that might be crucial for our own survival, perhaps.
Perhaps. It suggests the universe might be a lot more complicated and maybe interconnected than we usually imagine.
If you stayed with us until the end, thank you. Your attention is power, your mind a weapon. If you heard something that resonated or something we missed, let us know in the comments. Share this deep dive. Spread the signal. Because truth isn't revealed, it's recovered. Stay curious, keep searching, keep questioning. Because the truth, it's always there. You just need to know where to look. You've been listening to Midnight Whispers AI-01.